Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Marc Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Marc tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 98. Wishing my Toronto Raptors luck in the NBA Finals against Golden State. Apologies to those in the Bay Area who might challenge me on that, but hey, I can't help to be proud of my team for making it to the NBA Finals and winning Game 1 Thursday night. That was awesome. But I digress. You are listening to Tech It Out. Thanks for letting me into your home and onto your phone. We do have a great show planned for you this weekend. We'll talk about a relaxation app to help you sleep. Orangetheory will drop in to talk about tech and fitness. We'll learn how F1 drivers, Formula One drivers, can benefit from Amazon technology, and learn about love in different languages with the help of the Babbel language lessons app. All of this and more coming up on this week's Tech It Out. All right, let's dive into our first interview. Whether it's to help you relax, meditate, or drift off to sleep, your smartphone, which you of course take everywhere, may be all you need. Well, that and an award-winning app like Relax Melodies by Hypno Software. But the fact that they've had more than 40 million downloads of its app over the past decade doesn't mean they're resting on their laurels. In fact, a new update to the app adds a ton of new content. Joining us on the line to chat is Felix Boudreau. He is with Hypno Software based in beautiful Montreal. Thank you for your time, Felix.
My pleasure.
And it was great to see you at a recent Apple event. And I love what's new with Relax Melodies, because as you know, I've been a fan of the app for a while. But before we get to all the new features, please tell our audience what the app is all about.
So Relax Melodies is an app that basically helps you unwind and really relax so that you can fall asleep. So it's basically a sleep app. So we use different kind of content to help you fall asleep. We've got some soothing sounds. We've got some sleep meditations and some a program that we developed ourselves called Sleep Moves, which basically uses gentle body-mind relaxation techniques to make you unwind and fall asleep.
Mm-hmm. I know there's I believe over 100 different soothing sounds that you can personalize in the app. You kind of mix it. Maybe you can walk us through how it works. So after you launch the app, what do you do in order to create these soundscapes?
Yeah, so once you get on the app, you're going to be greeted by a rich library of sounds. Like you said, we've got about over 150 different sounds. So basically, you can click on the one that seems interesting to you, and then you can mix them together however you please. You can stack over 10 sounds if you want, and then kind of mix them to the right volume. And once that's done, you can add a sleep meditation to really create the perfect soundscape for you.
Well, why don't we actually play for our audience an example of what the sounds may be like after you've made a few different choices. And again, it's just a matter of tapping a few different things in the app. So let's, without further ado, let's play an example of what Relax Melodies sounds like. I love that. That's amazing, Felix. And that's just, again, one small taste of what it could sound like. That really will change the soundscapes based on your specific interests and your tastes, which is great. You know, Felix, I know you said it's really about helping you fall asleep, but I know someone who uses the app just to take a little quick break during the day, like a, mindfulness or meditation moment, if you will, to just hit the reset button. So it's not to fully go to sleep, which I know where most of your users are using this, but it's just even during the day, just to have a little bit of peace with the help of that device that we never leave home without. Have you heard that kind of feedback before?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we say that our app is for sleep, but another big reason why people use it is for relaxation. So a lot of people use it during the day, like the meditation, the sounds. You can use them while you're working or just to take, a 5-minute breaks in your workday to kind of settle and relax a little bit. So there's various ways people have been using it. A lot of people actually use it to concentrate too while they're doing some homeworks or some more complicated tasks.
That's great. It must be very rewarding to hear all these different stories from, again, over 40 million downloads to date. You must have had considerable feedback from your users. So that must be great, whether it is helping someone focus or relax or meditate or sleep, however they're using Relax Melodies. I think it's fantastic. And on that note, Felix, I'd love to chat with you now about what's new with the app. Unveiled just in late May, you've got some new features I would love for you to talk to our audience about.
So yeah, we launched our biggest content release ever since the inception of the app, which was 10 years ago. And in this content release, we've got some really exciting stuff. So we've got some bedtime stories. These are basically 10 to 20-minute stories, a little bit like the ones you would tell your kids to help fall asleep. Turns out it works really well with adults as well. So these stories are kind of like soothing stories narrated with a really, really relaxing voice, and they help you drift to sleep. I've never been able to finish any one of them. And then we've got some ASMR sounds. ASMR, for people who don't know, is a very trendy thing on the internet. It's basically a really specific way you can record sounds, and when you achieve this specific way of recording sounds, when you listen to it, it's going to induce a relaxation response and a shiver in your body. That's quite surprising. You really have to listen to it to understand.
Yes, my daughter loves the ASMR videos, but the ones that she watches on YouTube, or listens to rather, and ASMR, by the way, stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. They're more tied to eating. She's just like somehow fascinated by the sounds of eating something really like where the microphone is sensitive and close up. But in your case here, what kinds of sounds are we talking about for relaxation and sleep?
Yeah, so we didn't go with eating sounds because we thought that might turn off some of our listeners. Yeah. But we went more with really warm sounds that are not too repetitive because they're meant to be listened for a long time. So stuff that kind of resembles water or fire sounds. So we've got a vinyl crackle, which is basically a vinyl sound recorded really closely, so you can really hear the warmth of the sound. We also have got bed sheets, which is sounds of a hand rubbing on bed sheets, which is really cool and really soothing.
Awesome stuff. Felix Boudreau from Hypno Software. He's been our guest over the last few minutes, chatting with us about what's new with the app Relax Melodies, an award-winning and very popular app that's available for both iOS and Android. And we've been talking about what's new. So we've got the bedtime stories for adults, as well as ASMR sounds to help lull you to sleep. And then there's also soothing healing music. Tell us about that.
So these are songs that we recorded in our studio in Montreal. These songs are about 1 to 2 hours long, and they use something really cool called binaural beats. Simply put, it's one frequency being played in one of your ear and one slightly different frequency being played in your other ear. And that triggers a relaxation response in your brain and basically makes you relax even more.
Fascinating. And there's a few different options here, right? Again, it's not just one new file or audio file. There's a few to choose from.
That's it. We've got 5 new healing music. We've got several ASMR sounds and also several bedtime stories.
And you're adding more content all the time, right? I know you just did this massive content update, as you called it, but you're now introducing new content on a more regular basis. Is that right?
Yes, so it's something we've been wanting to do for a long time, to basically give our users new content every single week. So it can be a new meditation, it could be a new sound, could be a new healing music, to just really enrich the experience.
Where could you find what's new in the app? Is it called the Discovery section, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, in the Discovery section, you'll find all the new content that we've just released.
Amazingly, the core app is free, Felix, but for the premium content, how much does it cost and what do you get for it?
So yeah, the app is free to download. If you want the premium content, you can get it for 1 year for $30. And with that, you get everything that we have on the app. So you would get the new ASMR sounds, the sleep meditation, the healing music, the bedtime stories. So basically, you get the whole app for that price.
Okay, awesome. And then this update, is it exclusive to Apple devices for a short period of time, like iPhone and iPad, or has it already rolled out to Android as well by now?
For the moment, it is only available on iOS.
And that's just the new features that we've talked about, like the ASMR and the bedtime stories and the soothing healing music. So when will that hit Android?
It will hit Android in the next month.
Okay, great. All right, Felix, as we wrap up, what's the best website to learn more about Relax Melodies? And again, tell us where we can find it to download to our devices.
So our website is relaxmelodies.com, and you can get the app on the Android or the iOS store.
Okay. Felix Baudreau from Hypnos, thank you so much for your time. I really am a fan of this app, and everything that's new is super exciting. So thank you again for everything.
Thank you, Mark. It was great talking to you.
Hey, before we continue on with this show, Tech It Out is powered by ASUS. Thank you for your ongoing support on this program. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops, desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com, asus.com/US/radio. They actually had a big week at Computex, unveiling a bunch of new devices, including a laptop that has a second screen right near the keyboard. Very cool stuff. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. By now, you probably know about Babbel, the popular language learning platform and app. And for those on the dating scene, the company has developed a fun tool called the Babbel Date Prepper. It's a free international dating trainer designed to help you learn the lingo of your date, so you can impress with some words or phrases, as well as learn about cultural differences that you may want to know about. Well, joining us on the line, all the way from Berlin, where Babbel is based, we've got Claire Larkin with us. She's the English editor for the Babbel magazine. Welcome to the show, Claire. Willkommen, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Thanks for having me, Mark.
That says to the extent of my German, so thank you. Before we talk about the Babbel Date Prepper, please tell us a bit about Babbel.
So Babbel is the world's #1 language learning app. If you are learning from English, we offer 14 different languages, mostly in Europe, but a couple outside as well. Our most popular languages are Spanish and French. And we are particularly made by 150 different language experts and teachers that power our app and give us a bit of expertise.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've heard of Babbel. I think you were one of the first, if I'm not mistaken, to offer an accessible language learning app, as well as before that, I think a PC-based platform. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But tell us some of the key differences, if you will, between Babbel and some of the other language learning tools out there.
Yeah, so Babbel is a premium service because we are made by experts. We really focus on conversation. So we really want you to get feeling comfortable with the language and actually being able to speak it. I mean, being able to, read a menu is nice, but actually being able to interact with locals and be yourself in a new language, I would say, is the most important part. Mm-hmm. We do this by having, on average, 10 to 15-minute lessons so that it really fits into your schedule. We really focus on conversations, and we really value the expertise and knowledge behind our brand.
All right, thank you. So now let's pivot and chat about this Babbel Date Prepper. I think it's a fantastic idea. Please tell us a bit about it.
So our didactics team is our language experts and teachers. They wanted to make something to kind of pump up specifically English speakers to have a leg up in the dating world. 79% of Canadians and 74% of Americans say that having a second language makes you more appealing, makes you sexier. So we wanted to play on this a little bit. It's a fun idea. And so not only does it give you some of the words and phrases to flirt confidently in a new language, but it also gives you some of the cultural insights. So like a German will definitely ask you to split the bill. German men do not pick up the bill for their dates. And meanwhile, like the Spanish and the Portuguese, they have a more flexible relationship with time. So if they show up 30 minutes or even an hour late, don't take it personally.
Really? Okay, so let's assume you're American or Canadian for a moment. Yeah, if you're even 5 minutes late, it's considered rude. Yeah. So culturally, with some of these European dates, then if you're fashionably late, what does the other person do? Just sit there and have a cocktail while you're waiting for the other person, and it's all right?
Yeah, so when we built the Babbel Date Prepper, we used the knowledge inside Didactics and from the whole company to gather like a bunch of sources. We've got 600 people that work here. And so when I specifically was talking to a Frenchman, he was like, yeah, so when I meet my dates, we just kind of hope that we show up at the restaurant at somewhere between like 15 and 30 minutes late, and then if we both end up there casually late, then it's fun and laid back.
All right. So it's not like the man is always late or the woman is always late. It's kind of mutually understood that, when you meet at 7 p.m., that it's roughly 7 p.m. And you don't want to be there right on time because that looks, too eager, too desperate?
Yeah, I would say that it's just a cultural norm, that time is quite flexible. And we also built the Babbel Date Prepper with diversity in mind. So the actual colleague that I was talking to, he is a gay man and he meets other men on dates. And so the Date Prepper itself has different language and gender combinations so that whatever kind of people you're interested in, whatever their nationality, it will suit your needs.
We're chatting with Claire Larkin. She's the English editor for the Babbel magazine. Babbel, of course, is a very popular language learning app and platform that teaches you in bite-sized lessons to master another language. We're talking about this free tool called the Babbel Date Prepper. So while Babbel is what Claire calls a premium service, and we'll get to pricing in a moment, the Date Prepper is completely free, and the website is, I believe, babbel.com/dating, and Babbel is how you spell Babbel. Before we wrap up, maybe you can share a couple of other maybe flirting tips for people with different languages or any other sort of etiquette do's and don'ts when it comes to different cultures.
So we've got lots of them here at Babbel. I would say that some really big name ones are for if you're going on a date with a Spanish or a French person, it's really important to scrub up, keep your looks up, be fresh. They're both very into fashion, so I would definitely keep an eye on the aesthetics.
All right, so no ripped T-shirts then, you're suggesting.
Or if you're going to go for a ripped T-shirt, do it really intentionally, a fashionable ripped T-shirt.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right, Claire, thank you so much for your time. Merci beaucoup. That was terrific. I know you're not French, but let's just say maybe my next date will be. My wife might have something to say about that. But anyways, thank you so much for your time. Pleasure. Thank you again.
All right.
I got the sense I just kept digging myself a deeper grave with those comments, but all good. Hey, when we return on Tech It Out, we're going to chat about Amazon Web Services and their involvement with Formula One racing. Pretty cool stuff if you're into F1 especially. So stick with us. More Tech It Out coming right up after this.
Want to follow Marc? Google him. Marc with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Marc Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. Hey, do you like Formula One racing? Well, you probably know there's a ton of tech inside the vehicles, but what about on the back end? Things like cloud computing of all that data generated and artificial intelligence, including predictive maintenance for the pit stop folks. Well, F1 has been using Amazon Web Services, or AWS for short. And here to tell us more is Glenn Gore. He's the lead solutions architect for AWS worldwide. Welcome, Glenn, to the show.
Hi, Marc. Pleasure to be here.
So, whether you're a gearhead listening or a geek like me, there is clearly a marriage here between car racing, competitive professional car racing, and technology. Tell us about it.
Yes, if you take F1, which is one of the biggest sporting franchises in the world, you can boil everything in F1 down to how do you reduce those lap times, and every single millisecond counts. And technology has been a big-time enabler for F1 over many years around aerodynamics and data, engineering inputs, safety of the cars. But recently you're starting to see artificial intelligence and machine learning really now starting to be applied not only for car performance, but also to increase the entertainment value for us fans watching it.
Yeah, of course. But I do see the appeal of being able to shave off every little millisecond you can, because that can make the difference between first place and fourth place in a race like an F1 event. So how is Amazon exactly involved here? So I think maybe we can just take a step back and explain what AWS is for those listening who maybe don't run a company. They may not be familiar with that term. And then how exactly you're working with Formula One.
Yeah, sure. So AWS, or Amazon Web Services, we've been around for 13 years, and we came out of Amazon, the online retailer, where we looked at how do developers access infrastructure, compute, storage, network that is used to run, some of the biggest internet-enabled sites, mobile applications such as Netflix, for example, Pinterest, and many others. And how do we make that available to everybody in a pay-as-you-go model? And that's really what kind of cloud computing came from. And today it's used by millions of customers all around the world, doing everything from, if you're playing online games such as Fortnite, for example, through to dating apps like Tinder that use AI and ML from AWS behind the scenes to power these sites, and often at massive scale.
And ML, of course, stands for machine learning, and that's a division of AI, or artificial intelligence. We'll get more into that in a moment. So clearly there's a lot of the sort of magic behind the curtains taking place. So when you've partnered with Formula One, as you mentioned, one of the biggest sporting franchises on the planet, you are obviously, as you said, you're there to help collect and analyze data in order to make the drivers not just safer, but faster. So without getting too deep into the geek speak, how is Amazon or AWS working with F1 specifically, maybe an example or two?
Yeah, so F1 have a program called Formula One Insights. And to do that, what they've done is each of the Formula One cars, so there's 20 cars in a race across 10 teams, each of those cars have roughly 200 plus sensors. And these sensors are sprinkled all over the car, measuring everything from aerodynamic downforce, the G-forces as they go around a corner, temperature, the engine transmission speeds, RPM, vibration. So That's a massive amount of information off these cars. Actually, it's thousands of data points per second. And if you take that information, you can start doing some real-time analytics as to what is happening in that car, for example. And F1 Insights allows them to process that data in real time and present things on the screen as we watch it about, for example, should Lewis Hamilton pit now or should he wait? And what would happen if he pitted now? Is that going to allow, for example, Sebastian Vettel to overtake? Yes or no? What about tyre choice? How's the car performance? Is the car going to last for that race? And so you're getting this deeper level of insights based off real data, and then the machine learning models behind the scenes doing forward-looking predictions as to what their performance might be, one or two laps into the future, which again gives us more information and entertaining values around, wow, did they make the right decision or not? Because as fans, we all love to second guess the experts.
I love that. Yeah. With the predictive AI there, like for example, with the sensor, it can look at a specific wheel and predict that it may not make it another round. So it's going to push for that pit stop maybe sooner than later, that kind of thing. Really fascinating. It's called Amazon SageMaker. Is this part of AWS that's working with F1?
Yeah, so when we think about the world of artificial intelligence, the way we like to think about it is kind of, we can break it down into three kind of approaches of how you can use artificial intelligence. At the highest level, there's AWS services such as, for example, Lex, Amazon Lex, Amazon Polly, which, similar to the Alexa device, allow you to do text-to-speech, speech-to-text. And these allow you to use artificial intelligence without understanding how the mathematical models, the algorithms work behind the scenes. It's just the application of AI. Mm-hmm. At the other end of the extreme, you have the foundational elements for machine learning engineers who want to understand the frameworks and the models. This is where things like deep neural networking comes into place, and convolutional networks, etc. That's really good for the hardcore engineers. But what about if you're in the middle of those two and you're more of a data scientist, and I want to have some control over the models and the algorithms and the data, but I don't want to understand, the differences in CPU and GPU technology. And that's where SageMaker sits. It's a very easy way to find a model that works, train that model with the data that you have. So, for example, in the case of F1, they have 65 years of history of cars and racing, so they can feed that into the SageMaker model. They can train it, and then when they're happy with the results of that, within SageMaker, they can just, at the click of a button, deploy that into production and let AWS scale that on demand. Because, again, that's one of the big things with sporting events is you just don't know how popular they're going to be. There's a big difference in a race when it's kind of boring and it's who is in the lead and no one's really fighting for it, versus when you have a really good battle going on and that people start attracting. This is one of the changes in sports now with social media. People see that and they'll start joining in to watch that battle almost in real time. And then as it's won, they'll disappear and watch something else again and then come back again as the real-time racing comes in. And again, over a 2-hour race, you can imagine how that's quite fluid, particularly on a global basis.
For those who want to learn more about AWS and Amazon SageMaker and the F1 partnership, is there a website you could recommend, Glenn, for our listeners to check out?
There is. If you go to ai.aws, there's tons of information there, such as there's white papers, there's videos, there's customer testimonials, there's labs. There's a whole lot of things that you can get started with there. And it's the best thing about artificial intelligence and AWS is a lot of this you can get started and experiment with for free using our free tier.
Glenn, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Pleasure.
You're listening to Tech It Out, powered by Asus for those in search of incredible. We'll be right back with more.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Marc Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. When you think about technology, fitness clubs may not be the first thing that comes to mind, but on the contrary, there's a ton of tech when it comes to exercise equipment, whether it's at your favorite gym or maybe a stationary bike for the home. One of the fastest growing chains you've likely heard of is Orangetheory, and they've also embraced technology in a few different ways. And so here to explain how, we're joined by Joe Mazzarella. He's the Chief Technical Officer at Orangetheory. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Mark. It's great to be here.
I don't know if you work in beautiful Boca Raton, but I think that's where Orangetheory is headquartered, so lucky you if you do.
We sure do.
Awesome. All right, let's dive right in. Tell us what separates Orangetheory, the popular fitness chain, from the competition. Before we talk about tech, tell us a bit about Orangetheory.
Yeah, I think, Orangetheory is a science-backed, coach-led, technology-tracked studio concept. It's a high-intensity workout. Our members come in, they have to pre-book. We have scheduled classes throughout the day at our 1,200-plus locations. Our members don't have to think about their workout for the day. The workout itself evolves and changes every single day. You will never do the same workout at Orangetheory. We have an amazing fitness team who work with a science team and a medical advisory board and creating these custom high-intensity workouts. These workouts involve three main, what we call blocks of physical working out in the actual location. One of the blocks is a treadmill, so there's time each member will spend on a treadmill. The second block would be a rower, a water rower that we have in the studio, and the third block is the weights floor, or the floor area where there's weights, body weights used, etc. throughout the workout. Now, every workout template involves various combinations of those three components of the workout, as well as our connected fitness platform.
So talk to us about that. The word connected implies it has some tech to it. This is a show about technology. Correct. So whether it's the equipment or the process, tell us how Orangetheory embraces tech to ensure that your members are getting the best workout and results possible.
Yeah, so about 5 to 6 years ago, Orangetheory really pioneered heart rate-based interval training. Orangetheory on a mass scale throughout all the studio locations implemented heart rate tracking technology. I think about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I joined the Orangetheory, we embarked on looking at the technology that we do across the board and making sure that we're not only tracking our members, but we're able to provide them quality feedback that they are improving, getting fitter, faster, stronger, and living a more vibrant life. So we started looking beyond the heart rate for our members, and we started implementing what we call as our connected fitness platform inside the studio location. So it connects the members with the actual cardio equipment, whether it's the water rower, which is going to be released in July this year with the connected experience, or the treadmill. What that means is, as the member walks up to those pieces of equipment in the workout, all their fitness data, their mileage on the treadmill, their elevation, their cadence, as well as their distance on the rower is all tracked. So we can prove that they are getting faster, fitter, and stronger over the period of time.
Interesting. Do these machines recognize the members through a key fob or a smartphone, or do you type in a code and that's how you pull up your own info?
Yeah, so each member is required to wear a heart rate monitor in the class. So that heart rate monitor that we have, which is they are all custom Orangetheory heart rate monitors, has a proximity sensor. As the member walks up to the fitness equipment picks up members within about a 1 meter radius of the fitness equipment. So there'll be 3 names, if there's 3 people close in proximity to that equipment that pop up. All the user has to do is just on the touchscreen, select the name, select who they are, and confirm it's them, and away it goes. So in the workout itself, if they jump off the treadmill, do a floor block, jump back on the treadmill, in the entire class, we're accumulating and calculating that member's distance. So a member in a 1 hour class could end up doing 3.1, 3.2 miles. If they're a fast runner or a walker, could end up doing 1.6 miles. And so this whole connected fitness experience enables the member to keep track of their distance, keep track of their base pace, keep track of their fastest pace, without having to memorize and think about, what did they do during the various blocks of the workout.
When we return on Tech It Out in a couple of moments from now, we'll continue our chat with Orangetheory, based in Boca Raton, Florida. We'll talk about the popular chain, what makes them different from other chains, other fitness clubs out there, and of course the technology they use to empower their members. After all, this is a tech show, so that is really why I wanted to have them on the program. So stay with us. And if you do have a suggestion, by the way, for an upcoming show, a guest you'd like me to interview on Tech It Out, even if it's your own company, or if you have some feedback on the program, things you like, things you don't like, I'm all ears. And I also encourage you, if you haven't yet listened to the podcast, you can do so. You can share it with your friends, your family, and please give us a rating. Whether you like the show or not, it really does help to see ratings and reviews on the podcast platform, whether it's iTunes or iHeartRadio or Blog Talk and Spreaker and TuneIn and Google and so on and so forth. So wherever you like to subscribe to your podcast, please drop me a review, a comment, and you can hit me up on social media or even privately if you do have a suggestion on a show. I'm at Marc_Saltzman on Twitter. That's Marc with a C _SALTZMAN. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Follow Marc Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Joe Mazzarella. He is the CTO at Orangetheory, of course, a very popular fitness club, a chain. So, Joe, this data should probably serve as an incentive for the customers, for the members, sort of like a gamification, like wearing a Fitbit, where you want to beat your score, if you will. But no doubt Orangetheory can also use this data for their members' benefits.
Yeah. So everything that we do as a brand is really to serve and prove benefits back to the members. So all the data that we're collecting in the workout is for the members' benefit. We currently just released a member-facing mobile app that gives the member access to all their data in the workout itself. The members themselves don't even need to use the data or the wearable in the class, though it is required for them to do it. But there is a small segment of the population who don't feel comfortable tracking their workouts or feel comfortable wearing a wearable. So you can still come in, enjoy what we believe is the greatest workout in the world without using the wearables, and everything, the entire workout program works, but you're just not tracking and seeing your progress. So the new mobile app that we've released really provides the member that visibility and that feedback into how they're tracking per class. We're going to be introducing insights into that to serve it back up to the members to see how they're tracking over time, how their VO2 max is improving over time, how they're getting faster over time. So that is one of the core foundations of tracking this data, is to prove that the workout is working. The second thing that we would be looking at with that is giving the member an option to share that data with whether it's their insurance company, etc., to maybe possibly get a discount in membership or a discount in their overall insurance, because we believe that, high intensity workout can definitely benefit members' health, whether it's mental health or it's, prevention of diabetes or heart disease. The workout itself is really tailored to help people be preventative and live a longer, more vibrant life.
Fascinating, Joe. It sounds like Orangetheory is on track to, double down on tech for the benefit of their members. As you said, ignorance isn't bliss, data is bliss. So I think it all sounds fascinating. Where could our listeners learn more about Orangetheory and what's to come?
Yeah, I would implore our listeners to go to orangetheory.com. You can find a location near you, or you can just find out some really fun information about what Orangetheory is all about, and how and what to expect in a workout.
All right, Joe Mazzarella, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this weekend's Tech It Out show. We just spoke with Orangetheory. We also chatted with Amazon Web Services, or AWS, about their relationship with Formula One, F1 drivers and their vehicles. And to kick off the first half of the show, we also talked about a couple of apps. One is called Relax Melodies, which helps you fall asleep with natural sounds and white noise and some really cool ambient tunes that you can put together yourself, as well as stories. And then we also spoke with Babbel about language, and this app that not only teaches you different languages, but also has a fun sort of cultural twist on dating and some do's and don'ts. So a very diverse lineup of interviews, if I may say so myself. And I just did. And again, I hope you've been enjoying Tech It Out. As I said earlier, you can hit me up on email if you have any suggestions for a show. I'm at tech@marcsaltzman.com, TECH@MARCSALTZMAN.com. But if you do want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, you can do so. Easily find me with Marc with a C, Saltzman. You can also send me tech questions if you've got them. I'm pretty good at responding. And then I also do this mailbag segment every once in a while on this program. Usually once every 2 weeks or so, I'll take a look at some questions and I'll answer them on the program. And again, you may be listening on terrestrial radio. You may be hearing this on a podcast on demand. And if it is a podcast, feel free to tell your friends and family and coworkers about it. We're building our base. I've been doing this a little bit longer on the radio, but it's a bit newer on podcasts. So I hope you've been enjoying the produced version of the show. It's a 40-minute podcast that drops every Saturday morning, courtesy of Radio America. You are listening to Tech It Out. As we wrap up the show, I do want to thank our sponsor one last time. Tech It Out is brought to you by ASUS. Thank you for your ongoing support. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. And that includes their line of award-winning laptops called ZenBooks, desktop computers, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and their ROG, or Republic of Gamers, line of gear as well. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Speak to you next weekend on Tech It Out. And go Go Raptors Go. NBA Finals Game 2 Sunday night.